the show that I promised you at the very beginning, where my dad is going to come on stage and do 8 minutes of stand-up. Are we ready for that?
Yeah.
I do want to provide some context for this. I have no idea what he's about to say. And when I asked him if there were some jokes about me, he said nothing bad. So we're all in for a real treat. Maybe more so, like some others, more than other. Oh, I'm so flustered already. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. But this next comic, he's absolutely lovely. He's a nice dude. He raised me. I consider him somewhat of a father figure. Let's give a big round of applause for Stephen Nicolle.
Step right in here, I can't see it. No, who cares? Me and Ada go back a long way.
Yeah.
I've known her for years. It's unbelievable. I'm okay now, but when I was her age, I was a real screw up. I'll tell you, when in school, she was smart. She'd get A's in everything. Spelling bee, everything, you name it. Me, I got A+ in copying other people's homework. French class, 10 to 9, grade 8, Miss Gal's class. Me, Greg Rokas, Arthur Scamell, Kevin Birkin. Did you do last night's homework? No. Oh, okay. So, Carolyn, did you do last night's homework? Yeah? Oh, do you think we could check our answers with yours? Okay, we did that for all of the year. Come French exam, I had to memorize an entire language from someone else's notes in about 6 hours that night. The bulbs of sweat. I'd lock myself in my room. My mother would go, "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." Bob will say, "Learn a language in 6 weeks." I try to learn it in one night. Well, I like to say I passed. I got a 60. Now I'm fluently bilingual. The only problem is when I go to Montreal, I gotta bring a pen and paper with me. Because when someone starts talking to me in French, I gotta have them write it down so I can try to remember what I read in grade 8 for the French exam. Sort of difficult to do. Now, as well, with girls in high school, oh man, talk about unlucky. When I had a date, we used to go to the fairground. I used to go to the Ferris wheel, take her to the Ferris wheel for the first ride. And we used to spin around for a couple times, stop at the top, we'd talk, and then we'd go a couple more times, and then we'd get off, and she'd make a run for it. That was bad. But sometimes we'd play hide and seek to chase. The girls chase the guys, look for the guys, and the guys look for the girls. Well, when the guys had to hide, I'd be there hiding, and I'd be waiting for the girls to try to find me. Well, 2 hours later, I'd be still waiting, and I'd see one of them and go, "Hey, Cindy, I'm over here." And she'd just walk away. One time they all went home without letting me know. It was bad. One time I had my friend set me up on a date. It was a blind date. The only problem was, she was blind. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, I took her out anyway. We went for a small walk in the park. It's a beautiful star-filled sky. The moon was shining, or glistening, whatever word you choose. She didn't care, because she didn't see it anyway. We sat on a park bench. We started talking. She started talking. I started talking. And then I just quietly slipped away. Didn't matter. She didn't see my face anyway. She couldn't pick me out in a line anyway, so I just let her go. But I was pretty ugly as a kid anyway. I had trouble sleeping. I was nervous. I was sweating. I was acne all over my face, bumps all over my face. It was so bad one time when I fell asleep in the library and I woke up and a blind man was trying to read my face. I couldn't believe it. It was terrible. Did anyone get that? How am I doing so far? I feel the love. That's probably more love than Mitch Marner got here in 9 years. I'll tell you, yeah, I was good. Anyway, I bought my first car when I was 18. It was $275. Can you believe it? Some people can't fill their tank of gas for $200 nowadays. It's unbelievable. That car was so bad. It was 11 years younger than I was. It's a 1965 Ford Galaxy 500. It had a hole in the trunk. It was so bad that I had to put stuff on the right side of the trunk because I'd lose it if it went on the other side. That gives you an idea of what the price of things were in those days. Nowadays, when I go for a walk in the morning, I stop by at No Frills just to watch them raise the prices before they open. It's very bad, I'll tell you. But another thing I'd like to say, how am I doing so far? Okay, well, I'll tell you one thing. With all the unlucky times I had finding girls in high school, I happened to find the best one. She's somewhere out in the audience, my wife. And she came to Canada 30 years ago today. 30 years ago. So I love you. I'm glad you came. And people are wondering, well, how come if you were so unpopular with girls in high school, you ended up with such a beautiful lady? Well, I'll tell you what happened. When she landed, I said, can I see your ticket? And I saw it was a return ticket. And she handed it to me. And I said, oh, look at that over there. And she looked, and I put it in my pocket. And she never saw it again. That's weird. Well, the other day she asked me where that bloody return ticket was. But I said, well, I don't know where it is. Anyway, I'm retired. Yeah, I'm 67. And I'm looking good right now. But people say, well, you got a lot of free time now. You're retired. Oh, you're living the life. I said, oh man, I got 3 jobs. The only time I'm actually have free time is when I'm sleeping. People say, well, what do you do for a hobby? Well, I work. I do the same thing as I did before. But I do 3 jobs. I do Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, and DoorDash. I do all 3. So my time is my own. But people ask me, well, don't you take any free time? I tell them, yeah, I make sure I take some free time. Yesterday I went to the bathroom twice. Anyway, now I know I only have 1 minute left. I just saw the light. I can talk for hours. But unfortunately, I gotta tell you this joke. A lot of people, they complain about doctors. They're always looking at the glass half empty instead of half full. And I agree with them. Well, one time I was in the hospital, and this guy, they wheeled him in beside me. He was in super pain. I said, what happened? He says, well, I got in an accident. Both my legs have been pretty severed. I don't know what the doctor's gonna do. He's gonna come back in about 15, 20 minutes and tell me what the x-ray said. I said, okay. Is he a good doctor? He says, yeah, he seems pretty positive. I said, well, that's a good thing. Half it, half full. So the doctor comes in, and he says, I got some good news and I got some bad news for you, Chester. Is anyone named Chester here? Okay, good. I didn't want to, Chester says, well, okay. He says, give me the bad news first. He says, Chester, we can't save your legs. We're going to have to amputate them tomorrow. Oh, he says, oh my God. He says, so he's yelling out loud. He's like, oh my God. I said, Chester. I said, get a grip of yourself. I said, ask him what the good news was. Chester goes, oh yeah. He says, well, Doc, what's the good news then? Well, he says, Chester, he says, I got some really good news for you. The man in the next room, Mr. Miller, he's willing to buy your shoes off you. Yeah. Well, hey, what's wrong with that, I thought. Those shoes were probably about $200, almost the price of my first car. That's it.